Good morning from Oslo. My name is Leanne Abrahamson. I work in the customer success team in EMEA and APAC. So I sit in the Oslo office and I'm joined today by my fantastic colleague, Connor. Connor, do you want to give a hi to everyone joining today?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Hope everyone's week's going well. You're in for a treat today with my colleague Leanne. She's super fantastic, and hopefully you learn a lot from her. I know I have, so sit back, have some fun, and I'll let Leanne work her magic today.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you, Connor. Always a pleasure. For those of you that have already joined the game, this is an interactive presentation, so you should be able to give some reactions when we're on a slide that isn't a question. So if anybody wants to test it out, yes, thank you so much, Sandra. Give us some thumbs up and love. As you can see, there's only uh, positive feedback there. So that is brilliant. Thank you. Yes, so as I said, this is an interactive presentation, interactive Kahoot, and it's an advanced training session, the first one of the year, actually. So for any of you that are maybe coming here and go, oops, I don't really know the basics of Kahoot, don't worry. We do have a session coming up on the 21st of February, at least in this time zone at 9 a.m. Central European time. So feel free to join that. Connor is also manning the chat today and manning the Q&A session. So he will post details of that. He has a cheat sheet. He's very prepared for you all today. So keep your questions coming. So you may have noticed actually that what I'm using here is, for some of you, a different way of using Kahoot. I'm using what we call presenter mode. And this was created to allow hosts to control every aspect of their presentation. Some benefits that we could talk about are the flexibility in pacing your Kahoots with the ability to go forward and back in the presentation, just like this, which is really nice. So if you were wondering, oh, what was Connor's surname again? Uh, there we go. It's Lutsko, which, yeah, I've spelled correctly, I believe. Yeah, also, it helps you to maintain more focus and engagement on the material. So I could turn off the sound effects or turn up the sound effects if I want, but by default, they're switched off. But it's always good to check the settings in your game, yeah, to see the effects of that. So I've turned these back on because I think it's more fun and engaging for you. Um, why else use it? Well, yeah, it's a little less gamified. So as a host, I have more control over whether or not to show the scoreboard, or should I say leaderboard. So there's not a podium as such after every quiz type question. It's more of a leaderboard here. So as the participants start to fill up, you can see a little bit later on today, there will be scores beside each of these names. Of course, I can keep that hidden or I can let you know what's going on. So it's all about engaging with the content and giving control back to the host. Yeah, so as I mentioned, if you want to ask a question, you can write it in the Q&A window and we will answer it live, or should I say Connor will answer it live. He's very proficient and is a product expert, so you're in fantastic hands with him. Yeah, so a little bit about the agenda today, why you should Kahoot in all your presentations and meetings. I'm using it now, so I can tell you firsthand, after working at Kahoot for 2 years, I do use it a lot, not just for internal meetings, but also for customer trainings, because I really want to showcase the versatility of Kahoot. So I use it in meetings, training sessions, presentations, just like this one to give you a taster. And I can definitely say it is a great way to create a productive and engaging experience. So the power of moments is great to make things memorable. And certainly you can do that with Kahoot. There's a lot of magic there. What I'm also going to show you is the other side of Kahoot, so how you can extend the live experience, either with assignments, courses, and stories, so we can take it to the next level. Also, for some of you that think, yeah, Kahoot's just a quiz, once you've seen the podium, that's it, you'd be surprised to know that you can get really actionable insights from the reporting section. So we'll delve a little bit into that as well at the end. And of course, we're going to give you the opportunity to give us some feedback. This is an interactive presentation, so we're going to learn a little bit more about you coming up soon. So we're going to try as much as we can to look at things that you asked us about. So, how are your energy levels right now? Do I need to put more enthusiasm into my voice or maybe take it down a notch? So, let us know how you are feeling. So, this is scale type question. Yeah, I could have, of course, let you drop the pin on that, but I'll show you how to use that in other questions. Just really easily, how are you feeling right now? Needing a second or third cup of coffee? Well, let's see. Okay, so mostly pretty good energy right now. Maybe I can energize you a little bit more with the power of Kahoot. Let's see. And a little bit more about you. This is a global webinar. I know it's 9 a.m. Central European time, but that's not to say we might have somebody joining from the US. And lovely, would be lovely if we have some people joining from Asia. So let's see. Use your phones to drop the pin on the map. I realize it's a bit small if you're in Ireland, for example, but kind of a general area. Europe is fine. Okay, amazing. So yeah, quite a lot of participation from Europe today. So I guess I can say good morning to everybody. That would be appropriate. And that explains the energy levels being around a 7. Thank you so much for your feedback on that. A little bit of a pro tip. So I'm in this presentation and what questions are coming next? I know I'm in presenter mode, but it's always a good idea to have a second screen when you're playing Kahoot. So I like to use the app on my phone just to see what is coming up next. Maybe I made some last minute additions to this Kahoot. It does happen. Yeah, so it's just a pro tip there. So I want to know as well, where did you hear about this session? So we've been trying different efforts in terms of marketing and letting people know about this advanced webinar. So we want to know what's working and what isn't. So this is the word cloud question. Again, fantastic way of getting feedback from a large audience. So there are 10 of you here today. Could you imagine how much time it would take me to ask each and every one of you individually or read through the chat? So this is a much more efficient way of doing it. Amazing. My AM. Okay, well, that's good. The Kahoot site. Well, that's interesting. Slack. Okay. Email colleague and the learning module. This is fantastic feedback. Thank you so much for telling us where you learned about the session. And the next question is about you. So what we want to know is there anything that you would like us to cover today? So we will be giving you a live demo of the Kahoot platform. So we try as much as possible to include that. So feel free to let us know. Or maybe there's a particular use case that you're interested in, a challenge that you're facing at work. We will try our best to cover that today. If we can't, for sure, we can send you some info in the chat about how to follow up on that. Yeah, as you can see as well, we have a fantastic library of free media that you can use. GIFs are great if used sporadically. So in this instance, for those of you that are waiting for other people to input their ideas, it can be entertaining to watch this, but hopefully not too distracting. We work with Getty Images. We can YouTube videos, Vimeo videos, upload your own media. Quite a lot that you can do to customize your Kahoot. So let's have a little bit of a look. Assignments, great. That's definitely something I'm going to look at. Reporting. Corporations could benefit from using Kahoot. Okay. There's something I could add in there at the end, actually. I have a little inspiration customer story, if you will, that we can share. AI, definitely. I'm using it a lot right now when I'm creating Kahoots. New features. That's good to know. So there's somebody that is using Kahoot quite a bit. Nothing specific, just a refresh in all. Right. Okay. Let's see if we can cover all in the session. So what I want you to do, of course, is yeah, just bear in mind that Kahoot is a well-known brand now. It's become a pop culture phenomenon in schools and learning environments, with Kahooting being used as a verb. That's really what we want to try and instill into those of you today that still think that it is a quiz. A quiz is definitely more than that. So without further ado, of course, I know you're just waiting to see how it all works. So let's get into it. Please don't leave the Kahoot, just pause. I'm going to take you into my Kahoot platform. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Joe. Such nice participants today. Yes, so I'm just going to turn off the video. The reason being is so that I can be removed from the screen so you can see everything that you need to. I'm just going to pop out of this Kahoot a little minute. Go into my, there we are, my library. Amazing. So here we are. This is where I work from. My username is Leanne Abfab. I love the show, but we don't want to get into that too much today. What I am showing you, of course, is where all things start in the library. So there you have the Kahoot advanced session for today, newsletter and other things in there. So what I want to show you, of course, is how you can use Kahoot at work. But before we get into the library too much, what I would like to bring your attention to, if you are looking for a little bit of inspiration, is of course this fantastic channel, which was just launched not that long ago. If you're looking for some inspiration and use cases, how to use Kahoot at work, I highly advise you to follow this channel. It will also give you links to how to join live training webinars. There's the Help and Resource Center in here, video tutorials and other channels. This has been extremely well put together, a fantastic resource that you have inside of Kahoot. So I do advise you to follow this. When you follow a channel, it will of course appear here. TED is a new partnership that we have, great content on there. So just very quickly bringing you through this, you can of course learn how to create high quality Kahoots, how to generate Kahoots with AI. I know that was something that you said that you wanted to learn more about. So perhaps after the webinar today, you could go and have a look at all of these pre-made Kahoots that you can then take, duplicate and use as your own. So there's lots of resources that you can use for free within the Kahoot platform. Okay, so that is, of course, the Kahoot at Work channel. I believe Connor has a link to that so he can post it in the chat. Okay, back to the library. So, as you've seen, I played a live Kahoot, which is great. What you can also do as well is, of course, assign a Kahoot. So what I have here is a Kahoot newsletter. It's about to go out for Q1 2025. But let's say, for example, I've already sent it out to my user base or customer base, and maybe I want to test some knowledge on that. So of course, a great thing to do then would be to assign that. I have full control over the settings of the assignment. Do I want to set a deadline for it? If I do, then participants have up to 31 days to take that Kahoot. If I switch the deadline off, then when this assignment finishes, just really depends on whether or not you have reached the participant level according to your plan. So if you're a Kahoot 360 premium customer, then you'll have up to 10,000 participants taking this assignment. So that's very powerful and can reach a lot of people. Again, your assignment, when you set it up, depends a lot on what you want to get out of the assignment and what it is that you want to, how you want the users to interact with that. Is it something that you want to test knowledge on? Then I recommend the question timer is switched on. Player identifier, highly recommend that if you're trying to track what participants are doing in terms of do they need help, so you know who the user is behind the nickname, for example, and only you will know that. Once the participants start joining the assignment, they will only see the nickname if that is something that you turn on. So it depends. Of course, if you're working in a sales environment, maybe you want to instill a little bit of healthy competition, it's not a bad idea to keep the nickname generator off so people can see how their colleagues or their peers are performing in that. So it really depends on the nature of your assignment. And for all the other points, of course, we try as much as we can to explain what that means. So let's create this assignment. Of course, this is great, brings you straight into reports. That's something that we'll get to a little bit later. What I really want to show you is the versatility of getting that assignment out to your audience. I do recommend if you want people to participate, you will get a higher response rate by sending that out either by email, or if they're part of your Kahoot license plan, you can send it out to a group. The great thing about email is we try to make it easy for you. You can, of course, have save lists of participants. You can import email addresses, and we give you different formats to do that. I'm not going to get too much into that today. It's quite a bit to cover, but I want to show you what you can do with assignments. And as you can see, once the assignment is set up, you go straight into reports, and we can get a little bit more into that later. Of course, in Kahoot, we have expanded the content that you can share with users. So we're going beyond just the quiz. We've gone beyond the Kahoot. You can, of course, as well, create stories and courses. So I'm just going to give you an overview in my library, what that looks like. So here we are. I'm in the stories part of the library. As you can see, there are a few stories in here. Similar to your Kahoots, you can have visibility to everybody within your plan, your team plan, maybe your organization, or if it's something that you want to share, maybe just with a link. For example, this particular story I shared with a colleague. The bitter story is actually a little bit of a play in word. It was about different Amaro drinks from Italy. But it was only particular for one person, so the whole organization didn't actually need to see that. The great thing about stories, of course, is that it's a great way to introduce company policies to new employees. It's good for building culture, and you can also embed engaging quizzes into that. So I'm just going to open this Kahoot newsletter story here. Of course, I could have created it from scratch right in front of your eyes, but what I want to show you is how I can easily edit that as well. So here we are creating the story. If I want, of course, I can start adding more elements to that. So I can upload and convert a PDF file, or I could even start from scratch with a PDF file. There are different content blocks within this. The great thing now about stories, and this is quite new, is that we have now introduced reporting for polls and checklists. So that's very powerful for you. When you're sending out a story, for example, the Q1 newsletter, which my fantastic colleague Lars has created. He hates to be mentioned in these webinars, but I think kudos to him on that. We're going to be sending that out to our customers, and we want to know which parts of the newsletter have been most interesting for you. Was it the video? Was it different bits and pieces such as AI generating? So we get a lot of information back on that. So this is all connected to the reports. And of course, maybe I don't like the story as it is and I want to enhance that a little bit. With the power of AI, of course, I could change the tone of voice. Maybe I need to make it a little bit more humorous, playful, informative. I have options to do that. And of course, if I want to revert back to the original story, I can. I can change the length, maybe shorten that a little bit. It could be a bit long. And of course, I could change the language. And actually, the translation feature within this is pretty good. I only really speak one other language fluently, which is Italian. So I can attest to the fact that the translation is pretty valid. There's no weird auto translate bits in that. So of course I can save this. And again, just like the assignment, I can assign this out to people in pretty much the same way. So I have my settings. Do I want to turn on player identifier? Do I want to give people the option to vote in polls? Of course, create an assignment with that. And how you get that out to people, very similar to how you assign a Kahoot. You can either do that by sharing it with a link, a QR code, or you can assign it to email as well. You can put different groups in there. Another cool thing as well, so you have created your story and maybe you want to know, after the story, did people really get what I was talking about? You don't want to embed a Kahoot right into it. Maybe you want to add it after and make it part of a course. So then what you can do is you can take that story and using AI, generate a Kahoot straight from that. So just really showcasing how you can use AI with all of the content generation aspects we have with Kahoot, with stories, and of course with courses. And there we have it. We have a Kahoot generated just like that. And of course, a little bit like Lego, you can move it around. You can change the question type. For those of you that have used Kahoot a little bit more, you'll know that, we've quite a few question types in there. It's not just a quiz. So I do encourage you to try collecting opinions from the audience when you're having a presentation and use other question types here, such as MPS scale. You get the chance to try that out a little bit later. Connor, while I'm here, are there any questions about what we've been looking at specifically in the chat or Q&A?
Hey, Leanne. Yeah, no, we're looking good so far. I think you've been explaining everything so well, so no questions so far, but I'll keep you up to date if there's anything that comes in.
Yeah. Another thing to note as well here is in the themes, if you want to personalize your Kahoot a little bit more, within all our plans, we have now given you more options to make professional looking themes. The idea is to match your presentation when you are playing your Kahoot. So you have more options here. You might want to explore that. Okay, so that's great. I have my story, created another Kahoot. I'm just going to save that. Amazing. That's done. I could share this with other hosts to use the Kahoot, but let's get on to courses. All right, so here we go. So we have this Kahoot newsletter that I created here. Let's say I want to add this to a course, which I can. Okay, so I can, of course, create a new course if I want to, or I can add it to an existing course, something that I did a little bit earlier. And there we go. So let's go to the course and see what that looks like. So here we are creating a course. It's super easy then to go from a Kahoot and a story to then build out a course. And of course, the use case for this is you can use it either in the self-paced setting. So as you've seen, I had a story followed up by a Kahoot. It could be that simple, or you could have different elements included in that as well. So that's why I'm going to go into the edit mode while I'm here, just to show you what I mean by that. So of course, you can add different elements to it. You can add an activity. In this instance, you can have the Kahoot story newsletter. As you can see, that's in there. You can add a Kahoot. You can also add a document in there. If, for example, you have a PDF or something that's sitting in a different format, you can, of course, upload a file in there. There's Connor's cheat sheet that he shared with me. Or, of course, it could be something about business correspondence for a business communication course as well. And the idea is to give supplementary material then to your learners. So it's very versatile in terms of what you can include in there. You can, of course, remove the activity. I don't think this looks very nice in my course. I play around with it a little bit. You can also break the activities up into different modules as well. So as you can see, we're not going to get too much into this today. This could be the topic for a future session, but you can really build up micro-learning within Kahoot using courses, which is great for non-desk workers, for example, or people that are want to engage with your content or learn something that are a little bit more time hungry. And of course, using AI, you always have the option within the tool then to generate more content and customize that using the AI function Another cool thing about courses that I'd like to show you as well is that you can, of course, give a certificate to people who have participated. So that's an option for you. You can, of course, enable that. You have full control over what exactly, what criteria one needs to meet in order to get that certificate. Is it simply just to complete the course, or do they need to have a minimum score? So here, the default setting is 70, maybe you need 80, 90. And then you can, of course, certify that with your authority, as they say. So yeah, you can add your position to that as well. Subject matter expert, SME, or small medium enterprise, whichever way you want to look at it. You can upload your own signature and even add your logo to that as well. So lovely picture of our founders there, put in there. And of course, we can put them again in the background. There we go. A little bit more customized and change the color theme as well. Maybe you want to add a nice blue theme to that, which is more in line with Kahoot at work. And there we have it, looking really good. And once that's done, of course, we can save our story. And how do we get that out to people? Yes, you can, of course, sign it, use it in a live setting. So we actually have some customers that do use it in a live setting. For example, I believe it's in the hospitality industry, where you might have a series of presenters or people having Kahoots in the same session, but it's a very long session with a large audience, and you want to keep the scores of everybody in the one place. So it's very useful then for combining all of the scores together into one report for you. And then it enables all of the hosts then to access the same course to play the Kahoots. And of course, you can assign that out, really similar to how we did with the Kahoot and with the course. Again, settings are entirely up to you. What's a little bit different with courses, and I feel like this is a good addition to it, is that you can, of course, send out reminders and email participants of the course that they need to participate in that. Enable the certificate. Again, very similar to Kahoot assignment. You have full control over the elements of that. And there we have it. And again, just like stories and Kahoots, you can assign that out to learners. I recommend by email if you want to get the most interaction with your course. And of course, you can download a QR code, stick it up in the break room if you like, or wherever you feel is an appropriate place to put a QR code, or share it on your internal work channels or social media channels. It's really up to you how you want to go about that. Yeah, so that's covered creating Kahoots. I've covered creating a story and creating a course. As I said, if that's something that we want to get deeper into, that could be something for a future session. What I want to go to now is, of course, reporting. So this comes up quite a lot when we're having customer training sessions with customers that maybe have been with us for a while. They've seen usage of Kahoot, and many of them don't actually realize that reporting is such a powerful thing that you have built into the platform. So why use reports? Well, it's a really good way to identify knowledge gaps, track progress, and of course, you could encourage healthy competition to adapt to the needs of the learner. So what I just said may be a question coming up in the Kahoot when we get back into that. But as you can see here, there's quite a few reports that have been generated. I play a lot of Kahoots. I share a lot of Kahoots, both live and assigned. Yeah, so just to get into that, of course, let's have a little bit of a look at the Kahoots with Player Identifier. And in particular, I want to draw your attention to how we can help you as a Kahoot host or the owner and admin of a platform get more insights into what exactly it is that people need if you are, for example, working in training sessions or looking at the training needs of employees. So I had a couple of sessions involving some players, and these sessions were essentially around what things might be difficult for the learner. So I had session 1, let's just call it difficult questions, and then I had session 2. And I want to notice if there are any patterns within these sessions that learners keep coming up against. So a really cool way to do that is, of course, to combine the report. So I have the same players in there. And then, yes, the player identifier is on. This is useful for me. And you'll see why in a moment. What will happen is then, by combining those both together, I can see all in all what games have been included over the sessions and what questions were difficult, who needs help. Is there anything else that I can do to kind of improve the training, solidify the knowledge gaps? And of course, using AI, I can create a new Kahoot only using the difficult questions. When we say difficult, that means any question that less than 35% of participants were able to answer. So lots of time-saving tools even built into that Kahoot. Another thing as well, when you're in the reporting section, of course, you can view the podium. You can also copy the podium as well while you're in here. So for example, if you have an ongoing tournament or an ongoing session, maybe within your own channels, a great way to use the podium is, of course, when you're using an assignment as well, take a screenshot of that and post it in your social so people know where they stand on that. You can, of course, download the report, take you into an Excel format. We won't look at that too much today, but there's lots of options when it comes to the reports. But most importantly, it gives you really good insights into where the knowledge gaps are and what you can really do then to help people and track their progress. Excellent. Okay, so we are going to get back into the Kahoot again. So if there's any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. We'll also have some room at the end for any of you that want to stick around to ask me questions. All righty. So let's see how much you got out of that. So I say there's still 11 participants there, so nobody fell asleep during that particular session. So that's good. I'm not, Sandra's not so sure about that, but that's good feedback. Thanks so much. Yeah, so true or false, you can assign Kahoots and courses. Oh, super quick. Love that. Amazing. All right, so 7 of you got that correct. You can, of course, assign Kahoots and courses, and hopefully you can see why that's a good idea. You can extend the learning experience, but it also gives people the opportunity to play Kahoots in their own time. So quiz question, multi-select. This is single points. There will be a double points one coming up soon. So maybe just check the leaderboard after this one. So why am I using Kahoot for this training in particular? So I'm using presenter mode, if that's reminding. So is it to create a productive and engaging experience, capture your attention, encourage participation, foster inclusivity? If you're not so sure, the more answers you get right, the more points you get. It is indeed the idea of using Kahoot presenter mode in this was to create a more productive and engaging experience and get feedback from you. It's very hard to know when you're doing a training session with multiple people, if I can't see your face, how that is going for you. So, having reactions, getting your feedback in the form of Kahoot questions is just very powerful for me. So this is a double points question. I believe it is, yes. I just checked that. So if you were paying attention, do you remember how can Kahoot reports be used to improve learning outcome? And again, the more answers you get right, the more points you get, and the fastest person to get them all right will, of course, get the most points. Amazing. Yes, and so for those of you that may be more used to the classic mode, you might notice that the podium isn't appearing after every time I have a points type question, but I'm sure you're dying to know where you sit in that leaderboard. So let's have a little bit of a look here. There we go. So Joe is at the top. Well done, Joe, with 5,948 points. Yeah, so it's very good. And a few people no points, and that's cool too. Thank you for participating. Yeah, so this is all about you getting what you need out of this session. So if you want to play for points, entirely up to you. Okay, so before we end this particular Kahoot and this session, I would love to get your feedback, and that's in particular in relation to using Kahoot as a presentation tool. So I'm going to use MPS scale for this. So how likely is it that you would use Kahoot in your next meeting, training, or presentation? That's another way to use the MPS score. Would you recommend it? I encourage you to try it out. Okay, very good. So over half of you said you're extremely likely to use it. What I recommend is practice makes perfect. Play around with it. It's a great tool. As I said, maybe you want to go back to a question. Somebody in the audience asked you to go back to a question. You can, of course, toggle back and forth in this, which is great. It's very seamless in that. Yeah, I don't need to go back over the answers again. What I want to do, of course, is go to the next question. Well, it's not really the next question, but it's more about giving you some inspiration here. So we have a fantastic customer case. Royal Canin appeared in our work meetup in November of last year. And Dora, who is our champion there, give us a really, really good description of how she uses Kahoot at Royal Canin. They use a lot of assignments there. So for those of you that are interested in how that's used in a self-paced setting, it's a great video to watch. It'll be posted in the chat. But essentially, how they're using the tool is to get in touch and train those people that aren't necessarily part of their HR tool, their workday system, or non-desk workers. So it's a fantastic 10-minute segment there that you can watch, and I highly encourage you to do that if you're looking for a little bit more inspiration beyond the quiz. Okay, yes, yes, this question kind of popped in at the end here. We don't need to get to that. What I would like to do now, of course, is have a look at the podium. I'm going to skip that. Yes, alrighty. So let's have a little bit of a look at the podium, which of course we don't go to by default. And third place we have Sandra. Second place we have DEB. And first place, who is it? Joe. Well done, Joe. We might have seen that in the leaderboard a little bit earlier. I showed you, so well done to Christy and MT as the runners up. I'm going to stick around for another 5 minutes or so for a Q&A if anybody wants to ask some questions. But well done to those of you that participated in the Yeah, and if there's anything in the chat, yeah, we can answer now. Then, Connor, you want to let me know anything we could address now?
Hey, yeah, no questions in the chat. I think you explained everything super well, so there was no questions. So no, we're looking good in the chat.
Brilliant. Okay, it's lovely to see some people from Kahoot joining as well today. So shout out to my colleagues. It's really nice to see you here this morning, and some of you that aren't. So yeah, feel free to give me feedback afterwards. That'd be great. So have a lovely morning. Enjoy your next cup of coffee or tea, whichever tickles your fancy, and hopefully we'll see you again. Take care. Bye.